Hey, first grade friends, Mr. Penny here. I am so excited to teach you today about squares and rectangles. Today I want to teach you that squares and rectangles are two-dimensional shapes, meaning that they're very flat. And I'd also like to show you what makes a shape open, what makes a shape closed, and what makes squares so special. So let's take a look. All right. When we're thinking about shapes, we really want to start thinking about attributes. And you're like, Atra, what? Attributes are things you use all the time. The word attribute and attributes are just what makes things different. Like one attribute about Mr. Penny is that I wear glasses. One attribute about that amazing mountain bike here on your screen is that, well, one, it's amazing, but two, it has these really big nubby tires. It also has disc brakes in case you're going very fast. It has a very, very big set of shocks on the front fork, as well as shocks on the back in case you're bombing down a hill. But attributes don't just have to be for people and bikes. They can actually be for pizzas. Like an attribute of this pizza is that it's going to be a greasy, cheesy, pepperoni-y pizza delight. It might also be hot. Attributes could be temperature as well as color, size, anything. In fact, if that was a mini pizza, an attribute of it being a pizza would be a mini pizza. If it were a big pizza to feed your whole family, an attribute would mean that it is a large pizza. Now, whenever you're thinking about attributes in relation to shapes, you might think about an attribute as being something related to the color of something, like green or pink or gray or red over here. You might think about size, whether they're larger or smaller, like this bigger square versus this smaller square. You might also think about its sides. How many different sides does that puppy have? You might even think about its corners. And in math, we call these corners, they have an amazing name. We call them vertices. Say vertices. Ha! I know, you just learned a new word. A vertice is just a corner. In fact, a corner on anything where it has a point like that is going to be a vertice where you have two sides meeting. All right. Now, squares and rectangles. Well, let's talk a little bit about the word rectangle. Okay. Rectangle, this word rect, that means straight. In fact, if you were to speak Spanish in Latin, the word rect actually means straight. And since Spanish is based on Latin, you can actually hear it in the word. To say straight in Latin, you say recta. Isn't that cool? Recta. Can you hear the recta inside rectangle? Yeah, it just means straight angles. That word angle you might have already known. Angle really has to do with how the two sides are meeting. Like you could have a skinny angle, you could have a really wide angle, you could even have a square angle. So hold your arm up like me. See if you can make this pretty square. If your arm's like this and it's more like a triangle angle, where it's kind of angled like that, then make it more square. In fact, one way you can do that is you can take your math packet this week and even just put it in there, and that'll give you a good measurement to see how square or not you are. All right. So rectangles, they're a lot of fun because what they love and what they have are those square corners. That means that a little square could fit right in there in that corner, and it's not going to get lost. Okay. It's not going to be dripping over. Like if I try to put this little arch in there, see how that part drips over? A square angle would really have no space left over. Okay. A rectangle is also going to have four sides. I know we're not talking about Thanksgiving sides. I know you guys, you're probably hungry. I'm talking about sides of things, like the side of this shape here. Okay. The rectangle is going to have two long sides and two short sides. In fact, they might even be faced this way. They could be faced this way, like kind of looking like a diamondish. If it has two sides that are the same length and two sides that are the same length, and the first two are longer and the second two are shorter, you have a rectangle. All right. And again, there are going to be 4 vertices, corners. And those 4 vertices, corners, are always going to be on every rectangle. But a square is a special rectangle. And the thing that makes it different, it has all the things that a rectangle has, except, well, what can you see? I think you're figuring it out. Every single side is the same length. In fact, the word square means every single side is the same length. It's square. All right. So, a lot of times you're going to hear mathematicians talk about where their shapes are open or if they're even closed. And I might even need to just switch this slide as I'm looking at it. I'm noticing that these little shapes are kind of hard to see. We'll look at them in just a second. But these shapes are all closed. That means every single side touches that vertice. Can you see how they all connect? Oh, it's just brilliant. Now, I'm going to do something kind of fun, and I'm going to go ahead and switch this over so you can see. Let's see if I can just change this real quick. Instead of doing black here, let's make it white. There we go. Ha ha! So can you see how these sides do not actually connect to a vertice? Well, when they don't, they call those open shapes. It's kind of like a door. Like if I was to take my study door here and I was to shut it, it would be closed. That means that the door is shutting all the way. It's all touching. If something's open, like this, well, that means the shape is open. So if you see here on your screen, let's go back to present mode so you can see it a little bit easier. I'll get my fancy pointer. If you see them not all connecting, that's a good sign that that is an open shape. All right, kiddos, it's now time to get you some shapes, kind of like I have. Now, I have these foamy ones, and if you have cool shapes at home, you can use those instead. But what you're going to do is go into your math resources for this week. And by the way, if you want to just rock out some facts, time yourself for 1 minute. See how many of these you can do. And then time yourself again for another minute and see if you can make even more. What I like to do is only do one of these at a time. So I only will do section A today, and maybe tomorrow I'll try section B. Okay? All right. Now, I made you guys some shapes right here for you. You're going to cut these puppies out, and then what I want you to do is put them in a plastic bag because you're going to need these the rest of this week and probably even a little bit next week. And as you're cutting them out, remember, all you wild cutters, if you're cutting really, all over the place, you're doing tons of small snips, it might make them kind of hard to actually still see those straight sides. So please use your very best cutting. Now, on the page after this math packet here on week 2's math packet, there's going to be circular shapes. Don't worry about those. We're doing them tomorrow. And on this side, here in lesson 7.6 is going to be your activity sheet. So you can go ahead and practice that. And it's just those 2 pages. All right, I think it's page 215 and page 216. All right. Good luck, and I'll see you again back in Google Classroom. All right, take care, everybody.